Beloved Saint Anthony of Padua, comforter of the afflicted and friend of the hopeless, today we come before you, with hearts weighed down by trials, fears, and urgent needs. In your holy presence, we pour out our pain, trusting in your deep compassion and in the power of your intercession before the throne of God. You, who are so close to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, respond swiftly to those who call upon you with faith. Saint Anthony, radiant light of miracles, restorer of lost hope and mender of shattered lives, we now lift up our voices and beg you to hear our cry. Be near to us in this very moment. We are desperate for your help. Our need is great, and our souls long for divine rescue. We ask for your intervention. Bring forth the miracle we so urgently seek. Let your presence calm our fears, renew our strength, and fill us with holy courage. O glorious Saint Anthony of Padua, whose name is spoken with love in times of distress, today we bring you our impossible situations. Suffering no human hand can heal, burdens no earthly solution can lift. Financial ruin, lingering illness, broken homes, lost keys to our peace and purpose. You see them all. You witness our silent tears and feel the weight that we carry in secret. Whisper our petitions gently into the ears of Christ himself. Remind him that we still believe even when our faith trembles. Miracle worker Saint Anthony, so many souls have seen the impossible made real through your prayer. Today, we join that chorus of faith, handing you our most desperate petitions with confidence. Let your prayer, swift and powerful, rise like incense to heaven and return with divine blessings in its wings. Heal what is broken, restore what is lost, protect what remains, and bless what is yet to come. Especially we plead with you for an emergency financial breakthrough, one that brings peace, dignity, and relief. Dear Saint Anthony, stay close as we continue this prayer. There is a sacred blessing awaiting at its end, a grace prepared especially for those who listen with faith. Do not let us miss it. Let each word bring us closer to the miracle we need. Together we walk in hope, reject every doubt, and believe in the God of the impossible. For through your intercession, Saint Anthony, heaven moves, and the miracle begins now. The urgency of faith in desperate times. There comes a time when the ground beneath us feels like it's slipping away. Everything we trusted, our plans, our strength, even the people around us, seems to falter. And in those moments we don't need a routine prayer. We need an urgent miracle prayer, one that shakes heaven with the sound of our cry. That's why the prayer to Saint Anthony holds such incredible power. It's not just a recitation, it's a lifeline. It's a whisper of hope in a world screaming with fear. Saint Anthony of Padua knew desperation. He walked with the poor, the sick, and the forgotten, listening not only with ears, but with his heart. His miracles were not reserved for the elite. They flowed like rivers toward the ones who were sinking. That's why when you say a powerful Catholic miracle prayer to him, heaven leans in. He understands what it means to be pressed for time, to be pushed to the edge. And when the world says no, Saint Anthony teaches us to look up and say, God can. Sometimes what we need is not just relief, but speed. We need help now, before the eviction notice, before the final diagnosis, before the relationship breaks beyond repair. This is when the prayer that works instantly becomes more than a phrase. It becomes a heartbeat. And Saint Anthony doesn't delay. His intercession is known for being swift and sure, a divine response in record time. When your soul cries out, he rushes in like light into darkness. You may be praying for a lost job, or maybe it's a lost loved one, emotionally or spiritually. The prayer to Saint Anthony for family restoration has worked miracles where counseling failed and silence became unbearable. He sees your kitchen table with one chair now empty, hears the unspoken words in your nightly tears, and still he works. He's already on the move. Miracles don't always knock, they break the door open. Some miracles seem too big. Debt that could swallow a mountain, a sickness with no name, a child addicted and fading. But the impossible prayer that works doesn't ask how big your mountain is. It simply declares that no mountain is bigger than our God. When you pair your cry with Saint Anthony's intercession, you activate a promise that's stronger than the world's resistance. That's how the impossible becomes inevitable. You might be tempted to give up. You've prayed before, you've waited. But let me gently tell you this. Sometimes the miracle isn't late. It's timed perfectly. You just needed this exact moment, this exact prayer. The Saint Anthony Novena has carried countless souls through the valley of delay into the meadow of breakthrough. So don't walk away yet. You are not at the end. You are on the edge of something divine. Let's get practical. If you're in a financial crisis, pray the emergency prayer for financial help, but don't just pray, trust. Open your mailbox expecting good news. Apply for that opportunity you gave up on. Ask for favor where you were rejected before. Faith isn't passive. It breathes action, and Saint Anthony will walk with you into every door you knock on, because he opens what others locked. Maybe you lost something, a document, a dream, a version of yourself. The prayer to find lost things is more than about car keys or old letters. It's about recovering your purpose. Saint Anthony has restored what was stolen, misplaced, forgotten, and broken. You are not too far gone. Nothing is. If God created galaxies from chaos, he can restore your peace from the pieces. There's also healing, not just of the body, but of trust, of joy, of the mind. Say the healing prayer to Saint Anthony when the doctor shrugs their shoulders, or when the medicine doesn't touch your pain. He has healed bones and broken hearts alike. Some healing comes quietly, others come like a crashing wave. But when Saint Anthony prays with you, healing becomes a promise, not a possibility. And sometimes what we need most is just a sign that God sees us, that our pain isn't invisible, that our tears aren't wasted. That's where the miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony shines. It brings reassurance even before the answer arrives. Miracles aren't always fireworks. Sometimes they're peace in the middle of the storm. And peace is the loudest miracle of all. So if you're here now, it's not by accident. You were meant to hear this. This unfailing prayer to Saint Anthony is unlocking doors as you listen. Even now, something is shifting in the spiritual realm. Don't rush through it. Stay with this moment. Because just ahead lies the second mystery, where the light that began here starts to burn even brighter. When hope feels distant, heaven draws near. Have you ever felt like your prayers hit the ceiling and fall back down unanswered? Like God is silent and the heavens are closed? That's exactly when prayer to Saint Anthony becomes your anchor. Because even in silence, he listens. Even in darkness, he walks toward you carrying light. Saint Anthony doesn't wait for you to be strong. He comes when you are at your weakest, when your situation looks beyond repair and people say, just accept it. That's when you say the impossible prayer that works. Because we don't pray based on statistics. We pray based on faith. And faith doesn't ask for evidence before it moves. It moves before anything makes sense. Miracles often appear at the very edge of surrender, just when we choose to believe again. The powerful Catholic miracle prayer through Saint Anthony creates a bridge between what is and what can be. It's that invisible hand lifting your heart when you're about to give up. And the truth is, sometimes we don't need answers. We need assurance. Assurance that our story isn't finished, that our pain has purpose, and that God still has the final word. In every desperate case, Saint Anthony becomes more than a saint. He becomes a friend. The kind who kneels beside you while you cry and doesn't leave when the world walks away. His unfailing prayer to Saint Anthony has helped the hopeless find their feet again. When the phone doesn't ring, the cure doesn't come, or the bills keep stacking, he remains by your side praying with you. Some breakthroughs come softly, others crash through walls. But they always begin the same way, with a prayer of surrender. A miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony is not just asking, it's trusting. It's saying, even if I don't see it yet, I believe it's coming. Faith creates motion, and motion draws miracles. When you speak it, you stir the spiritual. Let's talk about fear. That paralyzing, chest-tightening feeling that tells you it's over. Fear thrives in the unknown, But the Saint Anthony prayer reminds us that we are never alone in our questions. He walks us through the fog, not around it. And while others give up halfway, you keep going, because prayer is your fuel. If your finances are falling apart, say the prayer to Saint Anthony for financial breakthrough, but also speak life over your wallet, your business, your effort. Put your hands back on the wheel of your dreams. Saint Anthony doesn't just fix, he empowers. He reminds you that provision isn't about numbers, it's about divine alignment. You may be listening with a heavy heart because someone you love is in danger or drifting away. The prayer to Saint Anthony for family restoration can reach them where you can't. Your child, your spouse, your parent, it doesn't matter how far they've gone. Grace travels faster than guilt. And Saint Anthony's intercession carries your love like a letter to heaven. Some people think miracles are rare, but the truth is they're happening all around us. The miracle prayer today could be the one that changes your tomorrow. Testimonies pour in of lives turned around in hours, not years. And while not every answer looks like we expect, every answer proves God is still active. Let's not forget the lost things, keys, documents, opportunities. The prayer to find lost things isn't only about physical items. Sometimes it's about rediscovering your voice, your courage, your smile. What you thought was gone is only hidden for now. And Saint Anthony specializes in finding what no one else can. The more you pray, the more you're transformed. The healing prayer to Saint Anthony touches wounds even your closest friends don't know you carry. Trauma, loneliness, shame. He speaks softly into those hidden places, reminding you that you're not broken, you're becoming. Healing doesn't erase the past, it redeems it. And as this second mystery unfolds, you may feel something stirring inside, something like peace, or maybe curiosity. That's no coincidence. It's preparation. Because in the next mystery, Saint Anthony takes you even deeper into a faith that not only survives, but conquers. The power of intercession and unshakable faith. When everything around you says, give up, intercession says, hold on. That's what makes the prayer to Saint Anthony so powerful. You're not praying alone. You're aligning your voice with one of heaven's greatest intercessors. And Saint Anthony doesn't whisper. He pleads on your behalf. He doesn't ask timidly. He approaches boldly. And the heavens respond, because love speaks louder than desperation. The beauty of Saint Anthony's intercession is that it's not limited by time, distance, or logic. You can be halfway across the world, yet he stands beside you in spirit, carrying your prayers straight to the heart of God. Through every urgent miracle prayer, he reminds us we are never forgotten, never abandoned. Faith in his intercession becomes a bridge over every storm. The miracle may still be forming, but the connection is already made. Intercession is more than asking for help. It's a spiritual strategy, and Saint Anthony is an expert strategist. He knows where the battle is fiercest and directs divine power right there. That's why the powerful Catholic miracle prayer isn't just spiritual, it's surgical. It cuts through confusion, fear, and delay with heavenly precision. His prayers go where yours can't. Let's talk about timing. You've been praying for months, maybe years. It feels like nothing's changing. But Saint Anthony's intercession often works in the background before it bursts into the visible. Faith is trusting the process even when progress is invisible. And when you combine your waiting with the unfailing prayer to Saint Anthony, something holy starts stirring. Some miracles don't look like miracles at first. Sometimes God closes a door not to deny you, but to redirect you. Saint Anthony sees the bigger picture when all you see are broken pieces. And as you say the impossible prayer that works, trust that He's placing every piece exactly where it belongs. What feels like a delay may actually be divine protection. Think about the story of the woman who prayed for her family's restoration. They hadn't spoken in years. But after praying the prayer to Saint Anthony for family restoration every morning for just 1 week, the phone rang. It wasn't magic. It was intercession. And intercession opens doors that bitterness sealed shut long ago. Saint Anthony softens hearts like no one else can. The financial strain you're under may feel suffocating, but don't let your bank balance measure your faith. The prayer to Saint Anthony for financial breakthrough doesn't depend on income. It depends on heaven's economy. And in God's economy, scarcity is no obstacle. Saint Anthony has turned scarcity into sufficiency countless times, and he will do it again. Healing is one of the deepest kinds of miracles. Physical healing, emotional healing, even relational healing. When you feel forgotten by medicine, turn to the healing prayer to Saint Anthony. He is known to bring comfort when science runs out of options. He touches the spaces no scalpel can reach, no therapist can fix. His prayer is a balm for every wound. If you've lost something, an item, a moment, a part of yourself, the prayer to find lost things is more than a tool. It's a testimony. People have found documents, heirlooms, peace, and even faith again through this sacred prayer. Saint Anthony has a divine knack for recovering what's been buried under time, trauma, or distraction. He restores not just possessions, but purpose. And sometimes the greatest miracle is clarity. You don't need all the answers. You need the miracle prayer today to reveal the next step. It's not about having it all figured out. It's about trusting the one who does. And with Saint Anthony guiding you, each step forward becomes sacred, even if it feels small. Saint Anthony's prayers echo with compassion. He knows what it feels like to be desperate for God's touch. That's why every miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony is soaked in empathy. You're not being judged, you're being lifted. You're not alone, you're being supported. And in that support, your faith grows strong. Let's be honest. Sometimes we feel unworthy of miracles. But Saint Anthony reminds us that grace isn't earned, it's received. Don't let shame keep you from praying. Come as you are. The prayer that works instantly doesn't require perfection. It just requires belief. And your belief is already enough. You've made it this far, and your spirit is awakening. There's something deeper waiting for you in the next mystery. A level of surrender, a dimension of intimacy with God you've never experienced before. And Saint Anthony is ready to walk with you there. The surrender that unlocks heaven. There's a sacred moment in every journey of faith where the heart no longer demands answers. It simply surrenders, not in defeat, but in divine trust. That's where Saint Anthony meets us, not to fix everything immediately, but to teach us the beauty of letting go. When we pray the Saint Anthony prayer, we release control and allow heaven to orchestrate what we cannot. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Because surrender is the gate to miracles. The truth is, we spend so much time trying to solve everything ourselves, fixing, controlling, pushing. But real breakthroughs often come when we stop striving. The unfailing prayer to Saint Anthony invites us to place our burdens not just in God's hands, but to leave them there, to not take them back. And when we do, we're surprised by a peace that makes no sense, but heals everything. Saint Anthony doesn't ask for perfect faith. He responds to willing hearts. You don't have to understand the outcome to trust the process. And when you say the powerful Catholic miracle prayer, it doesn't mean all your problems vanish. It means your soul stops panicking. It means you're walking through the fire with someone who's already been there and knows the way out. This kind of surrender doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing everything with God, not against Him. It means including Him in the conversation, the decision, the step forward. The urgent miracle prayer becomes a declaration. I will not walk this road alone. And that simple choice to include heaven reshapes everything around you. Think of someone sitting beside a hospital bed, praying not for understanding but for strength. That's surrender. Think of a mother waiting for her prodigal child. That's surrender. The prayer to Saint Anthony for family restoration is built on this kind of trust. Knowing God is working even when we can't see Him moving. Saint Anthony holds the heart of every hurting parent. Your surrender may begin in fear, but it always leads to peace. Fear says, what if it doesn't work? Faith says, what if it does? The miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony helps you shift your focus from panic to promise, from pressure to presence. And once you've tasted that peace, you'll never want to return to worry again. Let's bring this into real life. If you've been praying for financial relief, say the prayer to Saint Anthony for financial breakthrough, but then rest in that trust. Don't obsess, don't spiral. Start making one small move of faith. Apply again, call again, try again. Miracles love momentum. Even one act of surrender unlocks the supernatural. Some of us need to surrender our bitterness. That's harder than it sounds. Forgiveness feels like losing. But Saint Anthony teaches us that letting go of revenge is making space for restoration. The healing prayer to Saint Anthony doesn't just mend bodies, it mends hearts hardened by betrayal. It softens the soul so love can breathe again. When you surrender your plans, you make room for God's purpose. And His purpose is always higher, always better, even if it takes time to see. The impossible prayer that works is your declaration that you're choosing destiny over control. And when you make that choice, you step into a grace that surprises you at every corner. Some things you've lost may not return in the way you expect, but what God gives you in return will always be greater. Through the prayer to find lost things, Saint Anthony has brought back lost peace, identity, even joy. Sometimes the thing isn't what you find, it's who you become during the search. Surrender makes your faith magnetic. You begin attracting the right people, the right doors, the right direction. Why? Because you've let go of forcing and started flowing. The miracle prayer today isn't a magic spell, it's a moment of alignment. When your heart says yes to God, heaven echoes yes back to you. There is no greater relief than knowing you're not in charge of the outcome. That weight lifts when you truly release it to God through prayer. And Saint Anthony, with his deep compassion, walks with you in that freedom. The prayer that works instantly begins in surrender and ends in transformation. That's the secret. Sometimes surrender means we finally stop asking, why? And begin saying, what now? What do you want to show me, Lord? What are you teaching me through this? Saint Anthony turns your questions into wisdom. He never leaves your side, even when the silence stretches long. And as you rest in this surrender, something deep within you begins to shift. You're no longer begging for a miracle. You're becoming the space where miracles happen. And just ahead, in the next mystery, that space will overflow. Total trust, living as if the miracle is already here. There's a turning point in every soul's journey where fear gives way to faith, not because everything is fixed, but because you finally believe it will be. That's the kind of faith Saint Anthony invites you into. Not timid, not theoretical, real, raw, confident faith. The kind of faith that prays a miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony and starts preparing for the miracle even before it arrives. Faith isn't just believing that God can, it's trusting that He will. It's waking up and saying, today is the day my life changes, even if nothing looks different yet. The prayer that works instantly is rooted in that mindset. You don't wait to see the miracle to believe it. You believe it, then watch it unfold. That's heaven's rhythm. Imagine a person praying for healing and already making plans for their restored life. That's the posture of confidence. When you say the healing prayer to Saint Anthony, don't just wish, expect. Expect movement, expect mercy, expect something to shift. This is the hour for miracles, and your faith is the invitation. You may not see it yet, but Saint Anthony is already working on your behalf. That lost job, that closed door, that painful no, they are all setups for something greater. The impossible prayer that works transforms barriers into bridges. God doesn't waste a single tear. Everything is working together for your good, even now. Confidence doesn't mean you never doubt. It means you choose trust anyway. When you pray the urgent miracle prayer, you're not asking from panic, but from promise. You're not begging, you're partnering. That's the shift. You're walking with Saint Anthony, not chasing after him. You're moving in sync with grace. Let's talk about bold prayers. The powerful Catholic miracle prayer isn't polite, it's fearless. It speaks healing over the incurable, restoration over the shattered, provision over the impossible. And because Saint Anthony stands in your corner, those bold words become blueprints for breakthrough. Confidence isn't loud, it's steady. It doesn't scream for attention, it walks with assurance. When you say the prayer to Saint Anthony for family restoration, you're not hoping maybe something will happen. You're declaring that unity is already underway, that healing has already begun, that love will return stronger than before. One of the most powerful things you can do is act like it's already done. If you're praying the prayer to Saint Anthony for financial breakthrough, start budgeting with expectation. Start planning with vision. Don't wait for a deposit to shift your mindset. Let your mindset invite the deposit. When you live in this level of faith, anxiety loses its grip. You stop bracing for bad news and start expecting goodness. That's what the miracle prayer today does. It transforms your spiritual posture. You become someone who draws blessings, not chases them. Someone who breathes trust, not tension. And here's a truth most don't talk about. Trusting God fully is a radical act. It means walking on water while the storm still rages. It means saying thank you before the blessing hits your bank. Saint Anthony helps us live in that tension with grace. He is a model of quiet power, holy trust. Some will think you're crazy. That's okay. Faith always looks strange to the faithless. But every testimony started with someone who dared to believe. Every breakthrough began with one bold prayer. Let your prayer to find lost things also become a search for lost courage. It's still in you. Think of someone who spent years battling anxiety, and one day they stood up and declared, "No more." That wasn't confidence in self, it was confidence in God. That's what the unfailing prayer to Saint Anthony can birth in you a calm authority, a soul that refuses to surrender to chaos. And even when nothing seems to change, remember this: faith changes you. And that inner transformation is the root of outer miracles. Saint Anthony isn't just sending answers, he's shaping you to carry them well. Sometimes the miracle isn't just what comes to you, but what awakens within you. So today, let your trust speak louder than your fear. Let your worship rise higher than your worry. Let your words reflect your miracle before it manifests. Because heaven is listening, Saint Anthony is interceding, and the shift is already happening. You've walked through mystery after mystery, and now you stand at the edge of something holy. In the next breath, we'll speak a blessing, not just over your needs, but over your future. Because your miracle isn't just near, it's already begun. Final blessing. May the grace of the Lord descend upon you now, through the powerful intercession of Saint Anthony of Padua. May every tear you've cried in silence be seen, every whispered prayer be heard, and every burden begin to lift from your shoulders. Let peace enter your home and hope rise within your heart again. May your body be touched by divine healing, and your soul renewed with strength beyond your own. May every diagnosis be rewritten by heaven's pen, and may your mind find clarity, rest, and calm. Saint Anthony stands with you, praying alongside you with compassion that knows no bounds. May your finances be restored, your debts resolved, and your daily bread never fail. May God open the windows of heaven and pour out provision you didn't see coming. Through the emergency prayer for financial help, let your needs meet His abundance and your worries fade in His timing. May the relationships in your life be reconciled and recentered in love. May sons and daughters return. May forgiveness flow freely. Through the prayer to Saint Anthony for family restoration, may homes be rebuilt on a foundation of grace, and old wounds give way to sacred peace. May lost dreams come back to life. What you once buried in disappointment, may it rise again in power. Through the prayer to find lost things, may you rediscover not just what you lost, but who you are. May your purpose awaken as clearly as the dawn. May fear no longer have a voice in your life. Let it be silenced by unwavering faith. May you speak the miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony with boldness and joy, trusting that your miracle is already in motion. Heaven is not far, it is near and listening. May God bless your hands with new opportunities and your steps with divine direction. Where you've stumbled, you will now stand. Where you've waited, you will now walk. Through this impossible prayer that works, impossibility becomes a doorway, not a dead end. May your nights be restful and your days fruitful. May the weight of anxiety lift off your chest, and in its place, may confidence in God's goodness rise. May your home be filled with songs of gratitude and your path lit with heavenly favor. May every prayer said in faith today return multiplied. May you not just receive your miracle, but carry it forward to others in need. Saint Anthony is not only working for you, but through you. You are now part of heaven's answer for the world. May the Holy Spirit dwell richly within you, stirring up peace, courage, and spiritual authority. May doubt disappear and destiny emerge. You are chosen, you are heard, and you are held in the arms of the Almighty. May Saint Anthony walk beside you from this day on, reminding you that you're never alone, that your situation is never hopeless, and that your prayer is never wasted. From now on, may your life echo with evidence of God's power, and may your miracle, born of trust and surrender, become a testimony that will bless generations. May it come swiftly, may it come fully, and may it forever remind you, when you prayed, heaven answered. What if everything changes because of this one prayer? What if Saint Anthony was already preparing your miracle as you listened? What if your faith today rewrites the rest of your story? Are you ready to stop surviving and start believing for more? Your life will never be the same after this. That's not just a promise. It's a prophecy waiting to be fulfilled. If this prayer touched your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Let it be a blessing to someone else. Click the like button and share it with your family, friends, and anyone who needs a miracle right now. Let your faith become a bridge for someone else's breakthrough. We invite you to comment below and write your prayer request or testimony. We read every word and we pray over each intention. Write Amen if you believe your miracle is on its way. You never know how your words might inspire someone else's faith. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you never miss a prayer that could change your life. Every video here is crafted with love and hope to walk beside you on your spiritual journey. Activate the bell and be reminded that heaven is just a prayer away. And most of all, share this video on WhatsApp, Facebook, and wherever hearts are broken and hope is needed. You may be the reason someone finds light in their darkest moment. Together, let's let Saint Anthony's name be glorified and God's power revealed in every corner of the world.